It wasn't long ago that only a few select places were safe for Black Americans to gather, particularly with white friends. More than 80 years later, these places are being honored for their part in civil rights history. The smell of the famous gumbo.
It's Leah Chase's all day.
Coming from Dookey Chase's restaurant in New Orleans.
Of course, we have the Louisiana blue crab.
Will make your mouth water.
This is something you just can't beat right here.
It's a recipe that's been frozen in time.
Pepper, and of course you start with butter. The greatest feeling is when you go out there and they say, this tastes just as I remember it, right?
This food has gone through generations of the Chase family, now made by Chef Edgar Dookey Chase IV.
We always say Dookey Chase restaurant is a restaurant, but it's so much more.
For years, what went on here was kept quiet. But now Dookey Chase restaurant is the first marker on the Louisiana Civil Rights Trail.
So my name is Stella Chase Reese, and I'm a third-generation Chase.
Stella is the current manager of the establishment that's been around for 81 years.
It was started by my grandparents, Edgar and Emily Chase Sr. in 1941.
Their pillars were simple: delicious food, great music, community, and conversation.
African Americans had very few places to go at that time to entertain, to celebrate, to just be together. Upstairs, we had our leaders meet, and even though it was against the law for African Americans and Caucasians to meet at that time, it was kind of overlooked here.
During the civil rights movement, leaders strategized on next steps at this very restaurant.
The Chases were very important in that because it was a safe haven kind of place that you could go to and not only get some physical nourishment, but some spiritual nourishment because you needed to take a breather.
Judge Edwin Lombard was often in the room where these conversations took place because of his brother.
My brother Rudy, brilliant guy, was involved in the civil rights movement. He was one of the college students that sat in on Canal Street and was arrested and resulted in a famous landmark Supreme Court case called Lombard versus Louisiana.
Now a judge for the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Louisiana, Judge Lombard followed the path of his brother. Moments in his career paved the way for other Black people like him, such as getting elected as the clerk of Criminal District Court.
That office was in charge of the election process, so I became probably one of the first African-American election officials in the country.
He is proud that places like Dookey Chase Restaurant are getting the historic recognition they deserve. Meeting places along the trail in Louisiana stretch from Bogalusa to Baton Rouge to New Orleans to Shreveport and other outlying areas.
I feel as a third-generation Chase that I'm truly blessed. I'm standing on those shoulders of my grandparents and parents who went ahead of me and who went door to door with voter registrations, who put their lives on the line, who put the business on the line to do what they thought was right.
However, Judge Lombard says many of those leaders worked tirelessly just for us to still be facing some of the same issues decades later.
What we ought to be focusing on is what's in front of us today, voter suppression. We're right back where we started when they did the Voter Rights Act in 1965.
The Louisiana Civil Rights Trail reminds us there is so much history that needs to be discussed and understood in order to continue the process these civil rights leaders started.
Some of us in our comfort is allowing us to slip back into where we were before. And if you don't learn from the past, you're destined to make the same mistakes in the future.
In New Orleans, I'm Jessie Cohen reporting.